Hello, Zuko here. If you don't know, my name is Jess, but I go by Zimmy on the internet because one time I was 15. So, I am doing April's reading wrap up, and I decided I'm not doing a TBR for the month because I'm having a bit of burnout, so that's really exciting. Anyway, I read 20 something books in April, so let's get into them, I guess. Yeah. The first book I read this month was The Mirror Season by Anna Marie McLemore. I'm gonna be honest, I read this at the very beginning of the month and I barely remember it, but this is a book about sexual assault. So that's a thing that you should be aware of. I don't think I can explain the plot of this book. First of all, I think I missed something fundamentally important in the first chapter, but also because most of this book deals with sexual assault and just find that maybe just describing that would be triggering. But I did enjoy this book. I did rate this book a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read I don't have a physical copy of, and that is Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. I read this because I bought the Fairy Loot editions of this trilogy, so I wanted to read them to be like, oh, do I even like them? No, they're bad. They're the most generic YA dystopian you could imagine. If you're thinking the plot to a YA dystopian right now, that's it. You're there. You're thinking there's a weird love triangle. Yep, that's in there too. Really weird, similes and metaphors. Just interesting choices of language. Didn't love that. I ended up canceling my order for those books because I hated this so much and I was not going to read the sequels. So yeah, I gave this 1 out of 5 stars. Then I read Kings, Queens, and In-Betweens by Tanya Bodaju. I never know how to pronounce J's in things anymore. This is a book about a young adult who discovers the local drag scene and befriends a local drag queen as their mentor, and it's just really cute, and I really liked this book. This is queer. This was just cute, and I liked it way more than I expected to because I don't generally like YA contemporary romancy stories. The main character does not romance the grown-ass drag queen. There's a different character. Yeah, I like this. This was a 4 out of 5 stars. Maybe 3.5. I liked it. Probably won't reread though, I'm gonna be honest. Then I read Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabby Rivera. This is about a Latina woman who goes to Seattle or Portland to intern under a feminist author that they love, and they're so excited to do it, and then the more they're around this woman and her white feminism, the more they're like, oh, I don't think that your feminism is actually inclusive, and you're kind of shitty. I liked this book, and Harlow, the mentor author person, was absolutely insufferable, and that feels completely correct for self-righteous white women who think that they should be the loudest voice in feminism. So there's this. I gave this a 4 out of 5 as well. Next, I read the Bad Trilogy by Sally Green. These books are a wild ride. They start out incredibly heterosexual, then become not heterosexual, and then the ending is, yeah. This is about a world in which there are people with magical powers who are categorized as white witches or black witches, which we need to stop doing, because it's always the black witches are evil and the white witches are good, and it's just we get it. This is a really weird allegory for racism. But the main character is a kid who is half black, half white witch. So he's the only one of his kind, and the government is like, what the fuck? We want to watch you and make sure you don't turn out to be a black witch and do evil things. It's a whole thing. This was a ride. A part of me is I kind of want to keep it. Part of me is it needs to go. Honestly, I'm not sure what part's gonna win. Inside of you, there are 2 wolves, and one has bad taste and one has better taste, but neither of them have good taste. Overall, the series was 2.5 to 3 stars. Then I read We Are Okay by Nina Lakelore. This is a book that doesn't super have a plot, but it is kind of an exploration of grief. This was fine. I don't know. I feel it was really hyped up at one point, and I didn't care that much about it, if I'm being honest. This was a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Morningstar, the 3rd book in the Red Rising trilogy by Pierce Brown. This is the 3rd book in a trilogy, so I don't really feel I can talk about what it's about. But I did enjoy this. It was a solid ending to the series. I give this a 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Bone Orchard by Sarah A. Mueller. This is a adult fantasy series that follows a courtesan, I think, sex worker of some kind, who ended up splitting her herself into a couple of other physical bodies. And it was weird, and I didn't really know what was going on, but I enjoyed it and I liked the vibe. So yeah, it was a 3.5, 4 stars. I don't know. Am I rusty at this, or do I just forget every book I read? Unclear. Next, I read Next, I read The Fever Code by James Dashner. This is a prequel to the Maze Runner series. This was bad. This didn't need to exist. These books were silly to begin with, but like this one, like, and I think James Dashner is writing another, like a book set 70-something years in the future set in this world. Doesn't need to. James Dashner's just been cashing in on Maze Runner because his other books don't sell, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, so 1 star. 10, I read Let's Talk About Love by Clara Kahn. This book was fun. It was like an asexual romance book. We need more asexual books, but I would like to see more ace era books. I liked it. I know there were a lot of valid criticisms about it. I didn't really care. I was mostly reading this because I wanted it off my shelves because I'm kind of trying to get all the contemporary, I'm hiccuping, all of the contemporary romances off of my shelves. But this cover is beautiful and I'll be sad to see it go. This was like a 3-star read. Next, I read A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy I. Lin. This is a fantasy book that has tea magic and maybe politics. I don't remember. This was audiobooks over like 8 hours. I really stopped being able to focus the last like 4 hours or more of the audiobook. Like anything after the 8-hour mark, I kind of lose focus, especially if I'm listening to it all in one sitting. So I don't even remember how this book ends. I'm gonna have to re-listen to it when the sequel comes out. But yeah, this was probably like 3 stars. It's a duology. It's got the most beautiful cover though, damn. Then I have In a Garden Burning Gold by Rory Power. This is a high fantasy, like political thing about some family who rules some stuff because they got powers or something. I don't know. Rory Power usually writes queer books, and this was like labeled as queer and like LGBT on like Goodreads, but like there were no queer relationships in it. It was like very straight vibes. It just felt really generic as a fantasy novel. Like I feel like it was every political fantasy novel you ever read is this. So yeah, it was like a 2.5 star. I don't know. Will I continue on? Maybe. I like the cover. I don't know. Then I impulse bought the audiobook of The Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi on Audible and read it and loved it. It was so much fun. This is a COVID book in which a guy loses his job at a food delivery startup at the start of COVID and ends up being a food delivery driver and bonding with this guy he used to know or that he had met at a party by delivering him food, and then the guy offers him a job. And this job is at the Kaiju Preservation Society. This book was just super fun. Like, it didn't take itself seriously. It was really silly. There are monsters named Edward and Bella in it, and I really liked that. Yeah, this was a 5-star read. I had so much fun with it. Then I read Victory's Greater Than Death and Dreams Bigger Than Heartbreak, both by Charlie Jane Anders. These are YA space romance books. They're like adventure, you know, they're fun, they're cute, they're queer. We love queer main characters. We love the found family and the friendships and stuff in these books. They're not like my favorite just because they're YA, and I'm kind of tired of YA. So like that's not a fault of the books or the author or anything. It's just that I'm changing in my reading tastes. But yeah, I read these. The first one was like a 4-star and the second one was like a 3-star. Then I read You Sexy Thing by Kat Rambo. I enjoyed this book. It was a weird space book that I don't really know the plot of. I read it. I listened to it. It was good. It's fun. I had fun with it. I just like Tor's weird space books that they publish. So that was that. It was like a 3-star read. Then I read The Coldest Touch by Isabel Sterling. They're the author of These Witches Don't Burn. This was a queer vampire book. Thought it was very fun. Very cute. Solid like 3 out of 5 read, I think. Then I read Cherish, a novel by Bethany C. Morrow. They are the author of The Song Below Water duology. This follows 2 girls who have kind of always grown up together. They're both black, but one of them was adopted and raised by a white family, so she's got white girl privileges despite being black, and the other one kind of wants the life that she has. But when Farrah's family starts to come on hard times financially and has to sell their house and move, Farrah refuses to accept that and chooses to live with Cherish instead. This book is like a weird horror book, but not, but kind of. I don't know. This is hard to explain. I liked it enough. It was like a 3-star read. Next, I read Lakelore by Anna Marie McLemore. This is a like non-binary love story, and that was super cute. And that's like really the best way to explain it. Also, one of the characters is dyslexic and the other has ADHD, so that was like really cool neurodiverse rep. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And lastly, I read Hotel Magnifique by Emily J. Taylor. This is a like, people have said it has the same vibes as The Night Circus. I don't remember reading The Night Circus. I did, but it's like a hotel that shows up in cities for one night and people have to be chosen to stay there, but there's like dark undertones. Dun dun dun. I liked this well enough. It was fine. There's at one point the main girl is told this guy doesn't care about anybody but himself, and you just go, oh my fucking god, he's the love interest, god damn it. Because like you hoped that wasn't true, but you knew and you just didn't want to believe it. This is a 3 out of 5 stars. Then lastly, we have the 3 books that I DNF'd this month. The Hollow Kingdom by Kina Jane... Is that an R? I actually can't read that letter. Oh my god. Cool. Is it all in that font? Buxton. Okay. Kira Jane Buxton. I'm sorry, I can't read apparently. This is a book that follows a bird, crow, who used to be a pet during a zombie apocalypse. It was a cute concept, but I just am not into like talking animal books. I know that the crow couldn't actually talk, but it was all following the lives of animals, and like, again, fun concept, just not for me. I DNF'd Wolf for a Spell by Kira Stutton. This is a middle grade, like Baba Yaga inspired book, and it like follows a wolf as the main character, and as I've said, I don't like talking animal books, and I'm not in a place where I really think I'm gonna be picking up middle grade again anytime soon, so I DNF'd it because I just wasn't vibing with it, but I think the story itself was good, it just wasn't for me. And lastly, I DNF'd The Extraordinaries by TJ Klune. I hated it. I made it maybe halfway through, and I was like, this boy's obsession with real fucking people is crazy. Like, I was the weird queer kid with ADHD growing up, and if I ever was this weird about real human beings who lived in my city, I would be ashamed of myself. It was creepy, it was weird, and I hated it. I didn't get through this book. I read it because I was like, oh, I want to know if I want to buy the sequels. I don't want to ever fucking go near this book again. I've liked TJ Klune's adult books, but this book was just awful. 0 out of 10. So those are all the books that I read, or attempted to read, in the month of April. These are all the books that I'm going to not be keeping. And these are all the books that for now I'm going to be keeping. I don't know how much of this you can see, but I think you can see these ones. So yeah. These are my unhaul books. These are my keep books. I don't want to take a thumbnail for this. That's a lot of books to hold up. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know down below the best book or the worst book that you read in April, or a book that you DNF'd. And I will see you whenever I do my next video. Taller than me. I'm not tall to begin with. And I'm gonna have the adult books on the top, which is a bad idea functionally, because they're fucking big. Oh my god.